Hello, this is Sheryl and Claire. Welcome to neuroTRYvergent, an experiment in living and working without the mask. It's a podcast where we discuss navigating career change and just existing in the world as a neurodivergent human. I'm Sheryl. I'm an ADHD adult, moving from being a professional nanny to a positive discipline trainer and parent educator. And that's Claire. She's a late diagnosed ADHD adult and founder of Wizard's Way Career Path Mapping. Her business is a combination of career coaching for neurodivergent folks, plus e-courses and workbooks. If you'd like to learn more about us, our links are in the description. Each week we pick a topic and talk about the initial thoughts, the pros, the cons, and the balance of each concept. Then try a 2-week experiment and discuss how it went the following episode. Last week's experiment topic was play. You want to talk a little more about that?
Sure. So we ended the Play and Identity podcast asking each of us to first kind of ground yourself in identity and think about like, has anything challenged your identity? Be that a diagnosis or something else. And then once you felt good about that and understanding that, then kind of just diving into a noticing exercise. So on a day-to-day basis, like what kind of things spark a little joy, right? Or maybe just light you up, or if you're feeling really adventurous, like how do you play? So after the noticing, then if that might have just been enough, like you might have just got there and that was enough. And then kind of the next step would be experimenting with play and how that could maybe reestablish or invigorate your identity. So for me, I talked quite a bit about this already, but I think um, illness, disability, autism diagnosis, the ADHD diagnosis didn't hit me quite as hard for some reason, for good or for bad. And then just like aging, I think are all of the things, parenthood and aging are all the things that kind of unexpectedly challenged my identity and challenged me to know who I was in this world. So for me, and then also like when I was like noticing play, as I talked about, like seeing other people's style of play and then maybe not feeling playful is what I was experiencing. And so what I noticed is when I am well regulated, when I am holding boundaries really well and getting enough sleep and not putting myself into situations that aren't good for me, most of the time, that that I'm pretty playful. And there's a lot of fun things that I like to do, um, and they can range from active and physical to like super chill and just like reading. So I think I have a lot of different things a lot of play states in my life. And then I really love like making things and doing things with my hands. I think that's my number one. So in experimenting with it, actually what I've been working on is yet again doing another time experiment where I'm mixing up my schedule. And what I'm going to be trying is that the weeks that I have infusions, so 1 week out of a month, I have two big infusions and kind of lose 2 days. So I'm going to experiment with not working that week and instead having time for art and making, and then also have time for like cleaning the house and doing that kind of thing. So that's where I'm going with play. How about you, Cheryl?
All right. Well, my major thing for identity is, um, I think there's like identity things that kind of shatter your worldview, and there are ones that reinforce it. And like the ADHD diagnosis was definitely a strong reinforcing thing for me. I think that that's something that really informs my identity. Also, I think like kind of like epiphanies, especially when it comes to people who aren't like me. So like stories about how other people live can reform my identity in a lot of ways, whether that's taking things from other people's perspectives and rearranging or looking at how I identify in the context of the world. So that's another big one. And then another big one was it just my relationships, right? Like who am I in context with other people as well? Because that can really you know, alter identity. And that's why it can be so destabilizing when things change in relationships or, there's an issue where you have to talk about to a friend about something because like, you got to sit down and like hash it out, right? Because you're afraid, because especially with people who are close to you, they take up a lot of your relative identity versus your, oh, like, your own identity internally, all of that kind of stuff. And then also trying to be more aware of my physical self, really, extending my identity to my physical body versus just being up in my brain. Um, that's a big change. And so that kind of leads me into my play noticing, where it's a lot easier for me to play um, mentally. So video games, board games, puzzles, those things come really naturally to me. Poetry, stuff like that kind of comes more naturally um, than physical play. Um, and I think there's an inherent discomfort when I'm in my body sometimes that's hard to overcome and get to the fun. So that's definitely something I noticed um, in terms of play for me. Um, and I noticed it at events I went to where there was a lot of dancing and things, and just like all of a sudden, this I saw a total room of adults break out into physical play, and it was amazing to kind of watch and because I wasn't out on the floor dancing with everybody at the time, but like it was amazing to watch unfold like that physical play, people skipping and like it was just so much fun to see the physical aspect of that play. And so it showed me what that could look like and what that might look like for me. So yeah, I think that's definitely what I was thinking about when it came to play. I think those are my observations.
Nice. Oh my gosh. I so deeply relate to a lot of things you were saying and found myself with like, oh, I should have talked about that, and then reframing that and just like, oh no, instead of should, it just, oh, I really appreciate that Cheryl's talking about this, right?
Yeah.
Because um, I was feeling so much of what you shared. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Um, shall we pop into this week's topic?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Uh, I'm happy to do it unless you're feeling
No, go
inspired.
for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to share a behind the scenes moment. I'm having a really hard time with eye contact and like what to do with my face.
Yeah.
And so it sounds funny because we're actually at computers, but there still is this component of eye contact. Do I look at the camera? Do I look at Cheryl? Do I look at my notes? Um, and I usually don't worry about it so much. And today I am. And so I'm just sharing that. I'm trying to look at this little Miles Morales head on it. This is weird. But anyway, just this is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to look at. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I felt compelled to share that little bit of awkwardness because I feel like I'm like, and I know I probably just look really normal. I don't feel really normal. So anyway, I'm going to try and let that go. So our topic today is, and this one does need big ol' air quotes, you're so sensitive. And we're going to talk about how our experiences of how people dismiss our experiences as neurodivergent humans. Um, Often with those words are words that are very close to those words.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you want to kick us off and talk about
Totally.
kind of your pros and cons in this arena?
Yeah. So I when I was thinking about this topic a little earlier in the week, I was sitting there being like, wait, where are the edges to this? And like what are I've internalized a lot of these you're so sensitive things. So it's not just I'm realizing it's not just an external thing, it's also an internal thing for me. Um, and it's an internal thing because I've internalized the external expectations of a neurotypical world. Um, and so my most of my a lot no not most but a lot of my you're so sensitive remarks come internally from an internalized voice that isn't necessarily my own. So you know having issues with food, having issues with um, you know not being able to do things the way other things do things or experiencing things the way other people experiencing things. So like just pay attention, just get your ish together, just get organized, just get whatever, you're so sensitive can mean a lot for a lot of different people. And so mine is a lot of like, you know, also it can be really positive in a way of like justice because I get really sensitive about that and like you know there's a like hey that's not right and I can't sit by and just let it go. And it's a kind of hyperfixation for me. So when it's happening, I get that a lot. Right? You're so sensitive. Gosh, get over it. And I feel like it's also a woman thing too, not just a neurodivergent thing. Because that's women being so sensitive. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Empathy was wrong. But anyway, um, yeah, I think there's a lot of that hurt that goes into a constant dismissal of your experience and a constant othering of your experience that like you can't explain. Like, oh hey, you know, why can't you just focus on X, Y, or Z when you're hearing other people in the background talking? Or like, oh, why does that noise bother you so much? Yeah, it bothers me so much. And that's just how it goes. Like I can't focus on anything else when there's something like gnawing in the background at me. Um and like the frustration when your hyperfixation is interrupted. The rage when you're like, I have one thing of focusing, and you're interrupting it. I can't handle it right now. Like, so I am focusing. I can't switch back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and people can't understand that, and it just like stresses me out. Like, so like you're so sensitive. It can manifest in a lot of different ways, and like and I am so sensitive in a lot of ways because before when I was masking constantly, I was exhausted and I was angry and I was, resentful and all of those other things. So yeah, so with that, I'm gonna light a candle this time. I'm just gonna pretend to light it because we can't have candles in here, but I'm gonna the xenomorph queen. This is what I feel like when someone thank you. I got my strawberry shortcake lighter. And I'm gonna light the xenomorph queen. Um, because that's what I feel like when someone says you're so sensitive to me. And you know what? I embrace her. So anyway, that's kind of getting into the balance. But go ahead.
I had to do the hearts. Haven't
I
done that
know.
yet. Had to do it. Um, okay, I'm tempted to go off on that, but I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold
Mhm.
it because there's again so many things that are good for me too. So, I was thinking about this, and I I just wanted to share some of the ways where I think I am hypersensitive um, first, and then talk about my experiences on how other people have reacted to that. So, um, the first one is like for sensory, for the typical five senses, hearing, seeing, and smelling stuff that nobody else does is a daily occurrence for me. I've joked many times because it is really hard that hypersmell is the worst superpower ever. Occasionally it is nice. Most of the time it is not nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I want to give an example, but it's gross. I'm not even going to do it. The next one is tactile sensitivity. So the number of times that I will put a shirt on or a bra on or something, and there's something about it that is like I can't, I feel so strongly I have to change clothes, and I used to try and be like just do it, just like make myself wear the thing, and I definitely don't do that anymore. I just change it. If it's bothering me at minute one, it's going to bother me all day. The other tactile stuff that I have a lot is, especially in heat, is the sensation that bugs are crawling all over me, and
Mhm.
it's intense and bad. And I have other people look, and there are not bugs crawling all over me, but my nervous system and my sense is going off. Sensing mood or vibe of a person or a room, having intense emotion in general, like just feeling things very intensely and then they go away. Having an extreme reaction to the news. Um, I I I curate what I take in because I am incredibly sensitive and will not be able to recover and will have physical symptoms, and then autoimmune disease symptoms. There's a There's a correlation that nothing autoimmune can be proved mostly. Well, that's not true, but it feels like that. Especially between like a meltdown or shutdown or emotional arguments, that then all of my disease symptoms will up the next day. Very real thing that happens to me. So those were the original six categories that I came up with. So my most common here's what I experience if I choose to share any of these feelings with the outside world. I get three. Here's the three most common responses. Far far above any of them is the blank stares, no response. And this is always how it's been, where they just get nothing. There's no acknowledgement. There's no I heard you. There's nothing. It's just and my best interpretation of this is like this person just doesn't know what to do with me, and so they do nothing, right? Then the next one would be like dismissive language, non-acknowledgement, and that would just be kind of like mild and like moving on to another subject kind of thing. And then maybe um, I don't know. I was going to say the most troubling, but I have a hard time with all of these, to be honest with you, is trying to convince me otherwise, like arguing about what my experience really is, or just flat out gaslighting me. And I just never really could understand that. Like, how can someone else think they know more how I feel than I know how I feel? Like, this just baffles me. Like, I am me. I am me. I'm here in my body and in my mind, and you are not. So, I find that really incredibly baffling. That the amount of times that someone tries to convince me that I'm not sensing a thing that I am. Um, yeah, and so that's like sticking pretty strictly to the too sensitive model. I also really much have experienced the too much thing too, but I think that that could be a whole different conversation. Um, yeah, so I don't know that those are pros and cons, but that's my experience with too sensitive.
Yeah.
Just a transition here, what I really related to that you were talking about was the internalization of external messages,
Mhm.
and how, and then I also, just with a moment of gratitude, want to say like how much work I've done over the past couple of years to let go of a lot of that internalization. So I just feel like a minute of like hope and love that I don't do that as much anymore. And I can see it for what it is, and it's somebody else's shit. It's not mine. So I think I appreciate you bringing that up. And then many other things, but I'll just say one more and then let you talk. So hey, that's not right. It's so strong. And this could be something dumb like the way the dishwasher is organized, which I know you're not necessarily that person, but like I yeah, it can be something like that meaningless or apparently meaningless to some actual real global human issues. So
Yeah.
I really appreciated you bringing that up too.
Yeah. 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 No, and I love that, like talking about, the things that kind of trigger, and I love those like delineations, right? The five senses and then like the emotional senses. And there are things that really, really trigger me. And it's so interesting when you're with other people who are sensitive to those types of things in similar ways. It's just so different when you're talking with those people than when you're talking with somebody who's like, "We'll just get over it." And it's like, well, this doesn't bother me, so I don't understand why it bothers you. And I'm like, I don't know, man, have some empathy. I don't know what to tell you. like,
Why do we
or
got to be
like
the
just
same?
convincing
Why?
that, yeah,
Yeah.
convincing you that you don't feel what you feel. Um, and yeah, so I think, I don't know, everything you said was so relatable about like frustrating. It's like, yeah, I get that too. It's like, don't freaking tell me how I feel. And I think I'm really sensitive to that because of growing up neurodivergent. Um, when everyone was telling you that things should be easy when they're not, or, and like, oh, and you mentioned the big emotions, right there with you, right there with you. I'm a crier, 100%. So like at the drop of a hat, I'm like, and I'm like, it's just, it's a lot. Like it can just be a lot of ups and downs and all arounds. And then also that you brought in other things like, you know, the like autoimmune stuff, but like for me, it's like the depression, right? It's like just get over it. Just don't think that way. Be positive.
Mm.
just, oh, you just have to think not that way. And I'm like, oh, right. I didn't, oh, wow, you really opened up my eyes. And like, now I'm a changed person and I'm no longer depressed. Thanks so much. Great. Thanks. Really appreciate that. Huge insight that I didn't try at all myself every day of my life. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That just brought that up for me too, of um, like, yeah, no, this is actually what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of touched on like balance or living with this, before with just talking about my own progress to internalize less. So I think that's a good place for me to start when I'm thinking about the balance is um, being really clear about what's me and what's somebody else. And I think that's the first step. And I'm also having a little bit of a throwback to you to talking about identity and you saying how diagnosis was like affirming. And I 100% feel that way with the autism diagnosis is it was so incredibly affirming to me um, and helped me understand my hypersensitivities. And I think that was one of the and then being able to talk with other people and hear about their hypersensitivities and the way they experience the world that weren't allistic, not autistic, or weren't neurotypical. And yeah, that was huge. So I think that's the main thing for me is okay, what's mine and what isn't mine, and then figuring out, and then just like not fighting things that don't need to be fought, um, like like the shirt example, like clothing. Who cares what I'm wearing? I should wear the thing that's comfortable, and that's that. And just like really like doing a lot of work to build up self so that I can make those powerful choices to know, hey, this is me and your opinions are you. And this is also one of those things that's like really easy to say and harder to live on a day-to-day basis, right? So it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot. I have to much care for myself. So again, like the more I can care for myself and kind of be like, there's so much controversy about neurodiversity as a superpower in the communities I'm in. So like some people love that concept, some people are hate that concept. I mean, it's just like anything, right? Any word. And so I think that for me, it's acknowledging the things that feel like I'm just gonna say this. So this is what it means for me. So acknowledging the things that feel like a superpower. Some of this sensory stuff feels like a frickin' superpower. And I don't care if you don't think it's a superpower, I do, right? And kind of loving that. And then some of it feels like a disability. And both of those things are true. And just like, I don't know, just like sitting with that. Like I just sit with that and be like, yeah, okay. And this is me. This is what it's like to be Claire, is to have these things. And then I also really like I like having scripts or mantras or something that when somebody does tell me like something about me being, something, one of these two sensitive things, I just have a pocket thing that I can say, you know, like, well, that's not my experience. And then I can walk away, like, so that's the thing, like have a line that's just a line that I can say. It's not my experience, so I don't really want to talk about it with you, or whatever, whether it's smoother than that or rough, it doesn't matter. But having something in my back pocket has been really helpful. So, um, but again, kind of comes back to identity. This is who I am. And if you feel like the word TOO, just like it sends off the judgment alarm in my head, you know? We run the other way, run the other way. So yeah, that's my
yeah.
thoughts. How
Yeah.
about you?
I think for me, the balance is stopping gaslighting myself. Um, you know, talking about, oh, that doesn't matter, or why even talk about it? Why even bring it up? Or, XYZ, whatever it is. Like, I can take a minute and accept that as truth. And it just makes everything easier. Accommodations, um, things, whatever it is, it's, the reason my mask is here is because of partially because of that internalized neurotypical perspective, right? The neurotypical gaze, if you will, it's like, um, the lens that we've all been taught to look through, as the normal lens or the standard lens. Um, so like being able to just like let that go has released a lot of energy that I don't really need. And then being able to take that sense of justice and aim it internally as well, right? Um, and being able to say like, hey, I don't like that when you say that,
Yeah.
you know, or that's how that makes me feel, and I don't like it,
Mhm.
you know, um, is just really powerful. Um, and being able to kind of stick up for myself, because if I don't believe the things I'm feeling and thinking and saying, I can't defend myself or stand up for myself or whatever, you know. Um, so yeah, I think that's definitely a thing of like kind of championing for myself. Um, and then realizing when I can let shit go, you know, like there's always that not that course overcorrect, right? Like, you're figuring out where the balance is, and it's a constantly moving target. So being like, because sometimes I do read into things. I mean, especially with RSD, like, I have a lot of I do look and see things that aren't there and that people aren't intending, to be what I feel like they are in the moment. And a lot of times giving myself a little space to like compute, um, and to make sure that I'm coming at it from not, I don't have my Rumpelstiltskin demon, my RSD, sitting on my shoulder and whispering in my ear, kind of translating all the things that people are saying, or the way I'm picking up stuff from people, the energy I'm picking up from people. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then there's so many times where people have explained themselves, and I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't, I didn't interpret that, like at all the right way. And then I start freaking out, and I was like, okay, wait. What brain is feeling right now? What brain is thinking? So, and it's okay to be sensitive, and it's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to accept those feelings and sensitivities, and it's okay to advocate for yourself when you need help around those, or support around those. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just for a little like discussion piece here before we wrap up. I was just thinking about, um, how much of I think that I have learned that I don't let my experiences out much. I don't share, like it is a very internal world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of adds a lot of power to your work on how you talk to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of reaffirms, like, yeah, you're totally spot on. Like, that's the focus of the work. And it also makes me think about how, well, now I let these things out, but I let them out in community
Yeah.
with other people that are more similar to me. And that is just such a lovely breath of fresh air. And I spend a lot of time thinking about and then you talked about, you didn't use pendulum swing, you used a different analogy, but I always think of a pendulum swing. Like I'm here and then I go, woo, all the way over the other side.
Yeah.
For a while, it was like, I'm going to share everything that I've been masking and hiding and experience, with everyone. And that was hard too. So I don't really have other than like formats like this and maybe like writing, um, I don't really have a good sense about what to share and what not to share in general populations of people.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm in a phase right now where I'm leaning more towards not sharing as much what I'm experiencing. And so I think that's another level of this conversation that's coming up for me is like, I, I don't want to mask. I don't want, I'm not pretending that I'm not feeling these things, but I'm also not offering it up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's more of like an energy management thing on my part. And then the one other thing is just you talking about like what in the coaching circles we call the power of the pause, like the ability to be like, like for you when you're getting that rejection sensitivity dysphoria or something else, like being like, oh, this might be happening now. Can I just pause and not react yet? You know? And so I do a lot of that, and I have I have rules for myself about like, you know what, I'm just really not allowed to interpret my husband's face or vibe because even if I'm right, that's not going to go well. You know? So just don't do it. And if it's like sometimes I'm like, I can't look at you right now. It's like, your face is too saying too many things and we're going to get in an argument about it, you know? So just like pausing, knowing I can't do that. Um, yeah, that's what kind of you inspired me in your talking to add
Yeah.
those two bits.
Yeah. And in the time of your talking, there was something that I wanted to say about something you said, but now it's gone.
It's gone. I know.
I was
I
like,
know.
dang,
To
there
be
was
fair,
something
yeah, I got to write
really
it.
good she said like at the end of her last thing, and then I was like, it's gone. And I was like, man, that's an acceptance piece for me as well.
Yeah, and you know what? If it does that thing where it comes back later, maybe you can put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
I
put it in the
remembered.
comments. But yeah, I really like that of just like, and I think for me, the balance that I think we we're both hitting on is wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very much like that, right? Like
Yeah.
just something that is like, okay, let's, what are we going to fight? What battles are we going to fight? What battles are we absolutely not going to fight right now? Where are we going to put our energy? Like, and what's really important right now? What can be just let go? What can I, just be like, love, you don't have control over the world and you can't think about whatever everyone else is feeling about you, like it's just going to be too exhausting. So yeah, there's um a lot of that balance, and I feel like I've learned a lot of it, and I am really proud of myself because I'm like, okay, well, this is who I am, and I get to choose when I gift that to someone or don't.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, um I'm a fairly open and direct person for the most part, and that's who I am. Um and but I also have learned to pause a little bit and be like, okay, I like that, the pause. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
it for
often
me.
I often joke that I have a -1 dexterity modifier in RPG parlance, but maybe we have like a +3 wisdom modifier, you know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. I feel like I
Um,
could really like resonate with that because like my spirit animal is a sloth. So I feel like I feel like I can the dexterity is very slow,
Flew.
cozy, whatever. But like,
That's great.
yeah.
Um, okay, cool. So, um, should I feel comfortable improvising a
Yeah.
challenge unless you have one that's popped to mind.
No.
So, I would like to challenge each of us, and Cheryl, you and I can do it maybe in a different context. I think I might go the too much
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
Today we talked a lot about too sensitive and what our experience is with that, um, and how other people treat us because of our sensitivity. So I would love to challenge everybody to look at the TOO, the twos in their life, right? Have you been told you're too sensitive? Have you been told you're too much? Have you been told, where's the so look at where are the twos showing up in your life? Um, and then do a little bit of external internal buckets, right? How much of that is other people telling you you are that way, and how much of that is you feeling that way?
Okay.
And I think that's a lovely place to be if you get that far. Um, if you're wanting to go one step further, um, thinking about what's a step you can take to being more in acceptance about that characteristic or aspect of yourself. Evaluate your twos, put them in buckets, external, internal, and then if you want to take a step in the direction of more acceptance, go for it.
Yeah. I
And
like that.
if you want to paraphrase it, do.
No, I like it. I think I like the idea of physically having two like little bins
Hmm.
and then throughout the day writing in them and just throwing them into the buckets.
Yeah.
Right. And then drawing one out at random and seeing where
Ooh.
you want to go with that.
Hmm. That's fun.
Yeah. So if you want to make it more of a like sometimes doing that kind of physical thing can just
Hmm.
help you commit to it more. Um, for me anyway, and it's also a reminder. So
Hmm.
having it on your desk or whatever so that you can throw it in when you're feeling too
Whatever.
insert here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Cool. All
Very
right.
nice.
Cheryl, where can they find you if they want to learn more about you and your work?
Charlotteannie.com. Check me out.
Nice. And I am wizards-way.mykajabi.com. Also at Wizard Claire, Substack, LinkedIn, and I'm trying to come back on Instagram, Sigh, and that's Claire's a character. So I'll add that one below as well. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm not committing to anything.
Best of luck.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Claire.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.